Hi, I'm Jesse Hilbert.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hubbard.
And welcome
To Arnavon
Adventures.
Adventure.
This is season
2,
episode
6.
The Flying House. Charlie, today's arthropod can be found just about any and everywhere, and is certainly an insect that you don't want to be around and that people find to be very annoying. Can you say annoying?
Annoying.
Do you know about that? Do you? No? And I'm sure the name of today's episode, The Flying House, will give it away. Can you guess what it is?
Can you guess what it is?
Today's episode brings us to the world of the housefly, Charlie. That's right, I'm talking about those rather bothersome insects that you're always trying to get rid of in the summer, but somehow, Charlie, there always seems to be 8,000 of them. Do you think there's 8,000 of them? Or is that too big?
Big.
Too big. But there's a lot in the summer, right? Flying everywhere. Now, Charlie, I expect this episode to be a good one because these creatures are either very popular or very unpopular. And the amount of them that can be found and the way in which they interact with us is amazing. The scientific name for the housefly is Musca domestica. Can you try that? Musca domestica. The first part of its scientific name, musca, comes from the Latin word for fly. And that makes sense, Charlie, because this is a fly, right? And the second part of its name, domestica, comes from the Latin word domesticus, meaning belonging to the house. And what is the name of this animal? Housefly? So that makes sense, right? And what better thing to call an animal that flies around your house than a housefly? The University of Florida's Creature Feature article, which has been a great resource for so many episodes, Charlie, gave a great description of how to tell the difference between a male fly or a boy fly and a girl fly. You ready for this, Char?
Yeah.
And I'm going to quote directly from them. So, quote, "The female can be distinguished from the male by the relatively wide space between the eyes." So in a boy flies, their eyes are almost touching. But in a female fly, you see a space, kind of like in a human. You know how like your nose bone goes in between? In a fly, the females, you see a little bit of space. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Now, Charlie, I don't know about you, but the next time I'm close enough to a housefly's face, I will be paying closer attention to their eyes. As with insects, in their adult stages, they have 3 body parts. Charlie, you ready? Head.
Yeah.
Touch your head. Thorax.
Thorax.
That's the middle part. And abdomen. Good. Now, the head of the housefly contains their iconic eyes. These giant red bulbous eyes that always seem to take up 90% of their head. Now, the head also includes their mouth part, which in the case of an adult only allows them to drink. Imagine having a straw for a mouth. Would you like that? You drink smoothies all day long? I know how you much like those. And just like for them, it only allows them to drink liquid food. Now, their thorax has 4 thin black stripes going down their body. And their abdomen, the last part, is usually yellow or grayish in color. All right, Charlie, we're going to spend some time talking about those eyes. And what you might not know, Charlie, is they have a compound eye. Can you say compound eye?
Compound.
And it just means that they have more than one lens. Now, Charlie, you as a human, do you know how many lenses you have? Just one. But a fly has way more than that. Now,
What is that?
what is what? A compound eye?
Yeah.
It's like, picture like your eye, but having lots of them everywhere. And tell people always look at the show notes to see more.
Always look at the show notes to see more.
Yeah, and tell them they could follow us on Instagram.
You can follow us on Instagram.
Arthropod
Arthropod
_
_
adventures
Adventures
_
_
podcast. Good. Now let's get back to the eye. So, I got a great article for this one. It's where I got the research from, Char. The article is called "Flies Evade Your Swatting Thanks to Sophisticated Vision and Neural Shortcuts." It was written by FIU Associate Professor of Biological Science Jamie Theobald and FIU Postdoctoral Research Assistant Ravindra Palavali Natimi. Not Bumbus, that was a bumblebee. Now, Charlie, I want to make sure that we give these humans credit because they deserve it. because they're the scientists who put in all that work so that I could understand it. And I'll do my best to do their work justice. But I highly suggest that you check out their article in the show notes. Now, flies use multifacets to build the image that they see. This means that the light travels through these facets, through their eyes, into their photoreceptors. Try that word.
What is that?
Try the photoreceptors.
Photoreceptors.
In the words of the authors, each facet creates a single pixel. Picture like a pixel in like a video, old school video game. Just like a little square. And it creates a single pixel of an image that the fly is seeing. And as far as how well they see, I was surprised that they don't really see very well, Charlie. Even with all those lenses and all those big eyes, they don't see very well. And at least not in quality. The quality is pretty low resolution. But despite not being able to see in the quality that humans and other animals do, they see things a lot quicker, like a snap of your fingers. Do that. Try it. You'll get there. Don't worry. Now, I'm again going to quote the Professor Theobald and Miss Natimi. If you took one of these flies to a Cineplex, and the smooth movie you watched, and you're watching it, right? You just see the movie playing. It was made up of 24 frames per second. To the fly, that would appear still, like a slideshow. But this fast vision allows them to react to prey quickly, or not get squished by a human named Charlie. What? Yeah. Now, I know we're doing a lot of talking about the eye, but I just think it's so fascinating that we see something as going fast like a movie, but the fly sees that image as being so slow or still, and that's how they are able to move so fast and get away from things. Now, the article did talk about how flies lose some of this ability in lower light areas. So when it's a little darker, Char, they don't see as well. Do you see well in the dark?
Yeah.
You do? Oh, okay. Me too. Now, when this happens, they rely on other attributes or other skills to help them evade potential death. One such attribute is the hairs all over their body, kind of like at the top of your head. And these hairs sense any movement in the air, such as a human hand or a rolled newspaper coming to swat them down. So, Charlie, I was interested to learn through my research that the housefly is not native to North America or even Europe. Yeah, North America. It's not. It came from Central Asia.
Central Asia.
Yeah. It can be found on every inhabited continent on our planet. This is one adaptive arthropod. Adaptive means they're good at surviving. And as I mentioned, it can be found through so many climates, from the tropics to the temperate zones and everywhere in between. Now, Charlie, this is where it gets a little gross. Are you ready for this? Yeah. Are you ready? They like to feed on your garbage. Ugh. Oh, yeah. Or, you ready for this? They even like to feed on feces. Can you say feces?
Feces.
Do you know what feces are?
No.
That's a fancy science word for poop. And it's because of this that they love to ruin your picnic. Now, Charlie, this is a great segue to talk about the one thing people always say about the housefly, is that they throw up on your food when they land on it. Oh. Now, do you want to know if it's true?
No.
Well, essentially, it is true. If you remember from earlier in the episode, the housefly does not have the ability to bite or even chew their food.
Even.
Yeah, so they have to have a lifelong liquid diet. So in order to eat, they have to find a way to liquefy their food. And the solution to this problem is using their own digestive enzymes. That's like the stuff that's inside your belly. You say, excuse me. I heard your burp. Everyone heard your burp. Say, excuse me, everybody.
Excuse me.
There we go. Now, they use this digestive enzyme to break down the food into a delicious Slurpee.
Ew.
Yeah. So this is why you need to be cautious when we see houseflies around. Now, Charlie, if vomiting on your food wasn't gross enough, there are even more things you need to worry about. What is right? Mainly where the fly came from. You remember how we were talking about the poop before? Yeah. Now, if the fly lands on your poop, okay, not your poop because you poop in the potty, but an animal poop outside, because that's where flies love to lay their eggs and Yeah, they probably go to the bathroom on it too. But the scary part is when they land on that stuff, there's pathogens, bad pathogens that they could bring back. And if they land on your food, all that gross stuff is on the food. And then if you eat it, it could be bad. Yeah. Yeah, because it's got the poop stuff on it. And even if they haven't just fed on a buffet of feces.
We don't eat poop.
We don't. But some animals do. But Charlie, even if they haven't landed, if they haven't fed on a buffet of poop, chances are that they did just leave something equally gross like a dead raccoon or something like that.
Or bear.
Maybe. So if you're asking yourself, maybe a chipmunk. So if you're asking yourself, yeah? Okay, you ready for this? We're gonna give everybody helpful information, okay? So if you're asking yourself if you should throw out food that a fly has landed on, the answer is, it depends. But kind of yes. My research showed that a single fly landing on your food for a second or two is probably not going to bring any dangerous pathogens within it. But is that really a risk you're willing to take, Charlie? No. That's why anytime a fly touches here, we throw away, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And stink bugs.
Yep. Now, any fly that lingers or comes and goes often should be a cause for alarm. If this has happened to your food, chuck it. It's honestly not worth the risk. To prevent this issue, keep your food covered if you're outside or inside if you know you have houseflies around. Keep a trap out to catch the ones who are lurking, and keep at least your surrounding yard clean to help keep the flies away. Make sure there's no poop in the yard or any dead critters. Yeah. Now let's talk about their life cycle, okay? Which includes their larval stage. It's called the maggot. Try that one. The maggot. And this is a creature that humans know all too well. In many of the arthropods we've talked about in this show, their full lifespan can take months or even years to complete. In the right conditions, the housefly could only take 10 days, Charlie. Can you count to 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But, Charlie, a time frame of up to a couple months is also possible here. So It really just depends.
Yeah.
Thanks for yelling. Now, female houseflies can lay up to 500 eggs over the course of a few days when she is mated with a male. These eggs are laid in a moist environment. Thank you. And without this moisture, they would be unable to hatch. Moisture is like water. And once these eggs hatch, which can occur in only a few hours, the housefly is in its larval stage, that maggot. The maggot is a cream-colored, tube-shaped larval stage, which has two sharp pincers. Larval stage. Two sharp pinchers. Yeah, pinchers. They pinch on the front end. And the maggots will begin to eat from the time they emerge and will go through several instars, or grow, as they eat. And when these maggots are ready, it will find somewhere suitable to pupate, which looks different from its larval stage, as it will turn darker in color and shorter and blunter in shape. And depending on the temperature or environment, it will stay in the pupa for a few days or a few weeks. Now, an adult housefly could also live for up to a few weeks, given access to food. And as we've heard today's episode, they live in food-rich areas. And once they are adults, they need access to protein so that they can copulate and produce those eggs. Now, if you see... Now, you might be asking yourself, as I'm sure many of you are, why do houseflies even exist? What is the point of the housefly? All it does is throw up on my food and carry pathogens. The answer is they are a valuable member of the food chain. They are eaten by countless animals in their habitat, from birds to frogs. They also act as decomposers, helping dead organic material break down. Think about that rotting possum on the side of the road. Without decomposers doing their job, that dead possum would still be there. And I will leave you with this thought about their benefit to our world. The housefly is even documented as a pollinator, Charlie. Who else is a good pollinator?
Bees.
Bees. That's right. They may not be known or liked, but they do pollinate. And so therefore, they do have some benefit. So the next time you come face to face with one of these flying insects, take a closer look at their eyes and see if you could tell its gender. Give it some respect. Know that there is some good that it does. But remember that they can harbor diseases, and it's best to throw out any food that they land on. What do we say?
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. All right, Charlie. I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. If you have an arthropod you would love Charlie and I to talk about, want to tell us what you think about the show or find a mistake, please send us an email at arthropodadventurespodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
Don't stop never stop learning.
That's right. Stay inquisitive and never stop learning. That's right, Charlie. So the random fact for today is that global warming seems to be leading to more home runs. It's a very fascinating article and a lot of science that honestly was a little complicated for my taste, but I read it a couple times. And you're going to want to check out that article. I will link it in my show notes, and I'll probably even post it on our Instagram again. Arthropod_adventures_podcast. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.